Namaskar, hello and a very warm welcome to CIET NCRT's special live phone-in interactive program, and herein we bring you our series on digital well-being. My name is Tanvi Khurana and this is a 5-day, 5-hour online training program, and today is the last day, and the topic for today that we are going to discuss is ensuring mental well-being in digital spaces. This entire training started on 1st of July and all the days we have different topics to discuss. Let me tell you that on day 1 we discussed digital wellness and overview. On day 2 we discussed the factors that impact digital wellness, and on day 3 we discussed ensuring physical well-being in digital spaces. On day 4, that is yesterday, we discussed mental health concerns in digital spaces, and today we are going to talk about the ensuring mental well-being in digital spaces. So if you have any questions, any queries, please reach out to us. Feel free to give us a call on our number, that is 8800440559. Let me just tell you that this 5-day training on digital wellness has been organized by Central Institute of Educational Technology, that is CIET NCRT New Delhi, and we are going to conclude this particular training today itself, and this training was in English. Let me tell you, the following week, that is next week from Monday to Friday, this entire training will be in Hindi. All the topics will be discussed again in Hindi. So if you want to watch those programs, please feel free to watch, and I will be explaining the process of registration and how you can get the certificate after watching all these programs at the end of this particular session. So till then, please watch this session and feel free to raise your queries. If you want to email us your queries, the email ID would be training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. At this moment, you're watching us on eVidya channel number 6 to channel number 12, and also on our YouTube channels, that is NCERT Official and NCERT PM eVidya channel number 6 to channel number 12 as well. So if you'll write your questions in the live chat box of these channels, we'll be receiving them, and I'm sure we have a guest. She'll be more than happy to answer all your doubts, all your queries. So let me please introduce her to all of you. She is Miss Alisha Arora. Ma'am, a very warm welcome in our program.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon to you too, ma'am. Ma'am is an assistant professor of clinical psychology from Central Institute of Psychiatry, Ranchi. So once again, ma'am, I welcome you to this program, and we'll be discussing the mental well-being in digital spaces. So I would request you that what is it that we are going to discuss? What is the flow of our discussion? What is the aim that you have in focus for this particular program? Would you like to discuss that with all our viewers, please?
So, ma'am, so in this series, previously we have already discussed about physical well-being and how cyberspaces have been creating differences and challenges for people around. My aim today in the presentation would be twofold. One, to understand what is this digital well-being or well-being in digital space. At the same time, because we have teachers with us, so how can a teacher with a student population or a youngster population can apply some techniques of well-being simultaneously being in the digital space? So I hope that by the end of this series today, we have a management at hand also which people can apply.
Absolutely. So shall we begin this discussion in detail, ma'am?
Sure, sure. Ensuring mental well-being in digital space, we now understand after undergoing and understanding so many aspects of cyberspace and related challenges that there are mental health issues, there are physical issues. And on the slide that we see that there are problems like grief, stigma, worry, relationship difficulties. There can be mental health challenges like depression, emotional disturbances, sometimes even self-harm, suicide or drug usage, or going up to extreme complicated form of grief. So we know that there are problems, but today let's focus something beyond just illness, something beyond just problem, and that is well-being. Now, health and well-being is more than just the absence of illness. And I think day before yesterday when we had the session, we did understand that health is not just physical health, but also mental health. So our well-being will also include our physical health, our safety, our social health, emotional health, spiritual wellness, and subjective sense of well-being. Now, when we talk about mental and emotional well-being, it is connected to our overall health. So, a person with a positive mental health will allow people to understand their own potential. That person will be able to cope up with the stresses of life, will be able to work productively, and make meaningful contributions also. Now, well-being has many dimensions, like we were just understanding and reading. There is physical, there's emotional, financial, social, occupational, spiritual, intellectual, environmental, and all of these domains, they don't exist in vacuum. They actually exist in an intersection. For an example, if a youngster studying in 12th standard is physically unwell and we want him to develop interpersonal relationships with a friend or with the parents, I think that's where the difficulty lies. That we feel that there is one aspect of well-being which is better, and the other aspect can be in vacuum. They can be uninterrupted or untouched by other domains. So that is not the issue. So then, what are the dimensions of well-being that we can understand as a professional or as a teacher or as a guardian also? There are six dimensions that I want to highlight. First is self acceptance, that is, having a positive opinion about yourself. Understanding that, okay, I'm an individual, I have an identity, I have some strengths, I have some weaknesses, but I accept myself as I am. I accept myself in a positive opinion. Also, positive relationship with others. This includes pleasure and satisfaction from the people who are in close contact with us. So having a positive relationship with them also would mean that it's not just that I have a brother, I have a parent, or I have a friend, but also the quality of my relationship with them. Do I include some pleasurable activities when I'm with them? Do I share some activities with them? Also autonomy. That refers at how much a person's ability is to pursue their own personal activities, beliefs, convictions, which means that if I believe that I want to go in an honest way at my workplace or when I'm digitally engaged with people and I want to put honest remarks, is that in line with my autonomy? Or does social media, digital media, is forcing me to go beyond or divert away from autonomy? Then there is environmental mastery, which includes the ability required to master the environmental challenges. For example, if a youngster in the school setting has environmental challenges going around, say interpersonal challenges, or the person belongs to a special caste or special abilities or different abilities, and they need to require ability to master them or to overcome them, then that mastery is environmental mastery. Purpose is again a dimension of well-being. Finding a purpose or a meaning. They say that a person who has a meaning in life will be able to take out a solution from the problem anyhow. That means that whatever we do, whoever we are, whatever age we are in, if we know that why am I doing something, what is the meaning of what I'm doing, what is the purpose of my life, my well-being is better. The last but not the least is personal growth, ability to realize one's own potential and work towards it. So, be it of any age, if I know that what I am capable of, even if I'm having dilemmas, even if I'm having challenges, I know that I can stick to it, I can hold on, I can take guidance and grow for personal growth. So, these are the six dimensions which we all should be knowing today about well being. Connected to that is digital well being. Now, digital well being, as the name suggests, that there is some part of well being which is also connected to the digitalization of the world. The concept comes from referring to the optimal state of health and one's well being that can be achieved while using technology. Just to ensure that we all are on the same track, we understand that this digital well being is also a concept that came after COVID pandemic. It was not very prevalent before that. People knew about it, people were researching about it, but as a layman, we now know that okay, while we use technology, our digital well being also becomes important. How it helps us? It empowers us to take advantage of the benefits of technology while we know that there are certain associated harms with using digital technology. It is also an act of practicing healthy digital habits. So it's not important, and it's not possible also in today's world that we stop using technology or we reduce it. But how can we include certain activities, certain habits which are healthy in nature, and they would help us for digital well-being? How do we do that? We take a mindful and intentional approach to using the technology around us or people with whom we are using it, and in such a way that supports us our thriving and our optimal well-being. Here, the word thriving is very different from being malnourished, from being ill, from being mentally ill. So, when we talk about well-being, we also talk about thriving, which is that we are just not surviving in the digital world. We are just not surviving with the modalities and what people are doing, but we are also thriving with it. So, digital technology is not stopping our well being, and it is only helping us to empower us and become better. Essentially, it also means to live holistically. So, we are using the digital technology while also having a holistic life. So, in a way, technology should improve our life. It should not distract us or it should not restrict our holistic life. So, when we were talking about the 6 dimensions of growth, it should not stop us from our autonomy. It should not stop us from creating healthy relationships. Or it should not become the purpose of life. That if I do not have n numbers of comments, n number of picture like, then maybe the purpose of life is nowhere. Or as adolescent, when we are as a teacher or as a guardian, we are dealing with adolescents, we see that the social media starts becoming an identity. So when we talk about well-being, we say that technology should not be disabling us; it should be enabling us for a holistic life. So digital well-being would enhance the use of technology itself by restraining and promoting wellness. Now, this is skill based. This is not something which is something, a concept that we understand, we apply, and in a day or two it starts coming. It is a process, it is a skill. And as we go ahead, we'll understand that if we are applying this with somebody, if we are ensuring that a person or an adolescent it has to be well or mentally well, has to have a good well-being along with digital technology, we ourselves learn some skills. Now, these skills are in the areas that our digital behavior would relate to our mental well being, physical well being, our communication, our productivity, and our environment. So, there are some skills which, as teachers, how we can use them. I will be focusing on my next part of the presentation so that we can navigate and thrive in the online world today. So let's remember that there are skills which we need to learn, we need to practice, and we need to impart it to the next generation also. So going to the second part, uh, a bridge that why are we talking about well-being, that to digital well-being. It is not a surprise that we are spending almost 70 minutes a day on OTT platforms, averagely in a session. It might be very much more for many people, and the increase is evident, and there are multiple usage. So a person might be using for one session at least 70 minutes, and there might be 5 such sessions in each day. And now with OTT platforms and so much to access, this 70 is just a meager number, and it might be increasing to anywhere between 300 to 400 minutes a day. We all are using digital devices for work, learning, entertainment, etc. So let's be honest that we cannot do away with it. It is a part of our life and it is not going to go anywhere. There is an increase of the use of data traffic. Uh, Around 96% is the data that we see in recent times to which it has increased, constituting the 4G data. In adolescent, the population that we would be dealing much more in our regular life has been having excessive use of pornographic content now available for them, easily accessible, and nobody to actually moderate how that is impacting their well-being. Connected to that, there is an increase of mental health issues, psychiatric issues, psychological issues, and social well-being issues. This would lead to decreased life satisfaction with increased use and resulting stress. So, hence, it is a concern because on one side we are talking about well-being, and on the other side we are seeing rise of dissatisfaction, rise of psychiatric disorders, and rise of common mental health disorders like depression, anxiety, and stress. Social networking sites, also called as SNS, they have revolutionized. So they have become a platform where nowadays we would construct and convey our identities. So if I am a person who's a professional in real world, I may also have an identity on the social networking site, which may be similar, may be very different to what my real identity is in my in-person setting. This is now a concern because as an adolescent, a person whose identity formation is still in process, he or she does not know what is autonomy, what is my purpose, what is my meaning, then their identity is getting subsumed or merged with the identity which these SNS are providing. So digital spaces would become a virtual extension of oneself. This can go in a positive way, but most of the research would say that if it is not regulated, if it is not monitored, it can go to an expression of an identity which is pathological in nature. There's something called e-personality that people are now talking about, that we have a selective self-presentation, an idealized identity when it comes to SNS. More so in young adults, but it has been seen that many people across all ages, all genders, they would have an e-personality. We all can connect to it that when we go back and when we see our SMS, we realize that, okay, there is a part of my personality available on the internet, which I may not be expressing much in person. So an adolescent in the school is not communicating with anybody, has less friends, is not academically very good. But when you open his social media site, you see maybe 200 friends, maybe a range of activities that he's following, and very good vocabulary that he's using, very good captions that he's writing. And then we understand that, okay, this person has perhaps two personalities, two identities. Hence, this is a concern that why we are talking about well-being today, because our identities are getting merged. Connected to that is burnout. I'll not go much in detail, but just to understand that burnout, which also happens normally, people who are teachers, homemakers, you guys can definitely understand that it is an expression of exhaustion, anxiety, depression, diminished interest. It is very well visible that when we are burned out, we would feel more irritable. We feel that nothing is working. Maybe I am bad. Maybe my colleagues are bad. There can be increased sleep disorders, decreased in the energy, decreased well-being, even chest pains or physical pains, chronic irritability. They all can occur in burnout. In students or youngsters, we see that mostly in the form of eye strain, sleep disorders, which is a common form of digital burnout. Coming to the second part of the talk today, which is the most important one, is what do we do? We know the problems, we know the problems exist, and they are not going to go anywhere. Is there something that I can do as a teacher? So there are 9 strategies that I mention here, divided into 3 categories. The first category is to overcome isolation and loneliness. The other one is to boost learning engagement. And the third is to improve self-regulated learning skills. This might seem that how can we use the digital environment also and we can foster well-being. So anywhere if it is merging, the aim is that we are not looking onto the aim that digital world will cease to exist or it will not be there, but still well-being can continue. So the first strategy is how do we overcome social isolation and loneliness, which is very well evident with digital world. Social presence is the degree to which an individual is present in the real person and connected to others. So today when I'm talking to you, I'm actually not socially present. This is a virtual presence. But at a park, if we meet and if we are having a coffee together, that is social presence. Social presence can be created by more meaningful and digital learning experiences as a way to decrease the feeling of being disconnected. How digital world can help us is making it more two ways, making it more meaningful, and making more increased learning experiences so that this connection becomes better. We all need to invest time in guiding students on their digital learning journey. So, for example, as a teacher, if you're also engaged with a digital form of learning with the children, with the students, you can make some summaries, you can make some timetables or progress, which these students have to do in person or they have to present something in two ways. When it becomes two-way, there is a meaningful interaction. There can be emails to summarize what we have discussed, what was the discussion all about, or we can just simply leave a congratulation email or a congratulation message to the students on their progress. That way, we are investing time, we are guiding them, we are also making meaningful connections. We can provide them timely feedback, incorporate empathy, feelings, and emotions. How do we do that? So, when we are talking to the students or when we are talking to anybody digitally, if we can incorporate more of feeling. Now, feelings can be incorporated in the form of the newly uh, used emojis, but it is seen that if we can avoid emojis and we can just mention the feeling, oh, I'm so happy to meet you today. I'm so glad that we did this assignment. Oh, I'm so irritated of doing so many assignments. This is expression of the emotion rather than just putting an emoji. We can also create open discussion forums, which is a space where students can engage in informal discussion. So, as a teacher or as an educator, if we can have some forums, which can be either in person if possible or digital also, where students can also discuss in informal sessions. And the educator might be or may not be a part of it. Also, how we can do that is to incorporate the learning space personal profile of the individual and photos that provide individual with social cues. So, suppose if I'm presenting something and if I have pictures into it, I have social cues that will bring a scope of visual connection. That will include more of individual learning, more of digital learning. We can also design opportunities for students to express their feelings through discussion forums, digital groups, or case studies. We can ask them to share experiences about their assignment. So once we have discussed about assignment, how about just understanding what was it like? What is your reflection? Even if we are not using the digital learning space, if we are using it in a classroom environment, there also we can do that. Moving on to the second part, and a very crucial aspect for adolescents especially, is peer tutoring. In the digital world, to also have this interpersonal mix of emotions and empathy, it is important that we have peer tutoring. They can be same age peer tutoring, cross age, or reciprocal. What happens here is we use a variety of strategies in which the learners would pair up, or there are some small groups which provide each other with explicit teaching or assessment support. So, what happens with same age peer tutoring? The tutoring will occur between students of the same age. Cross age, where the students of different ages, or maybe one is older, the other one is younger, they would interact with each other. Reciprocal is when the paired students alternate their roles. So on one day, there was a tutor and there was a tutee, and the other day it can be reciprocated. That means both of them get the leadership skills also and getting to know the other person as well. We plan get to know each other sessions. So as educators, we can also have get to know each other type of session where there are moments of personal bonding. We can provide activities that are sufficiently challenging for the tutee to benefit from the tutor's support. So we can give some work to the tutee that they can take support from the tutors. We can design effective support from the tutor to ensure the quality of their interaction and individual well-being. We can use some tutoring activities to review or consolidate learning rather than introduce new material. So at times the teacher, the educator might want to just give some activities to the tutor so that they can consolidate learning rather than bringing up a new topic. And we can design an appropriate structure also for the tutoring program. Coming to careful integration, which is back channeling, this says that when we are using digital form of interactions or digital form of learning, uh, how about we also merge it with some parallel forms of social media tools which help us? They can be chat rooms, they can be polls, they can be question and answer tools, whiteboards, message boards. So while we are learning digitally or while we are interacting digitally, we can also include certain accessories, certain auxiliary functions which help us in careful integration with the real life world emotion. So for example, if a person is engaged in message boards or whiteboards or chat box or quiz tools, they're in a way also integrating, they're also interacting. That helps us in moving just not into the digital space. So we can provide opportunities for peer-to-peer back channeling in such a way that The involved students would establish clear values and norms, and they would have constructive communication with each other through these different modalities. The fourth one is gamification of learning. As the name suggests, that we are talking about gamification, something related to game. However, it is not actually game. It is a context of learning where some game elements are connected. So the intent is to revise the process so that the users experiences it like a game. We provide options for students to choose between gamification and traditional method, and it continuously involves students in self-assessment. An example of gamification is that we understand that maybe some students, they like playing puzzles, they like playing or having some rewards. So how about we just include some game elements while we are also doing? So there are some rewards, there are some levels, there are some peers. So in a game, if they are playing it together, in real life also in the learning space, they are doing it together. That means we are practicing gamification of learning as well. Digital stories is nowadays coming up for well-being in the digital space, which means short videos and presentations that can combine alone and first-person narratives within the use of multimedia. So, for example, we can have personal narratives. So we can show them, or we can educate, or you can use in the learning space some personal narratives, which include certain accounts of the person's narration of incidents of one's life. This can be done of the students itself who are a part of the learning space, or it may be personal narratives of other people. We can have historical documentaries, which means stories that examine dramatic events that help us to understand the past. So while we are teaching something, if we are using historical documentaries, then along with digital mood or the digital space, we are also having some stories where we can reflect emotions, we can reflect interactions, human dynamics, and that helps us to remain connected with our well-being and mental health issues. So we can explicitly define the well-being aspect that we want to add through digital stories, and we make sure that students possess enough digital literacy. This is one of the drawback also, that to use digital stories, we need students who have enough digital literacy. But anyways, nowadays, in certain situations, we are using digital stories, which are either in the form of videos or written stories. We can build digital resilience also for well-being, which represents the technical, emotional, and thinking part. So, how education about cyberbullying, coping skills, empathy training, communication and social skills, parent education, digital citizenship, and cyberbullying, how these components can build a digital resilience. So, for example, empathy training. We make them understand that how in a class of 40 or in a class of 100 people, or even if it's a very small group, we have different temperament. With different temperament, how are we going to cope? So, if there is cyberbullying, what are the measures to identify that this is cyberbullying? What are the measures that can be taken to cope up if somebody is facing cyberbullying? What are the social skills? How do we communicate our emotions? If I'm feeling bad about something, if I'm angry on something, how do I manage it and express it healthy? So if we can also talk about this to the people around us, or within us, if we can include that, if we know that our coping skills, our empathy building is getting better, in a way, we are also building our own digital resilience. Very important is to develop metacognitive skills. Metacognition, in a nutshell, is thinking about thinking. So if I'm thinking about an apple, and then I see myself that, oh, I'm thinking about an apple, that is metacognition. Now, how metacognition can help us in well-being? It is quite equivalent to what we call as mindfulness. When somebody does meditation, they not only do a process, but they also observe themselves doing the process, which is being here and now. So I'm not what happened 2 hours back, or I'm not in what will happen tomorrow. I'm just continuously applied or focusing on what is happening currently. So it's a cognitive activity, and before any cognitive activity or post any cognitive activity, if we are applying this, it helps us within the digital space to develop well-being. Example is, verbal mediation or self-regulation or judgment or self-monitoring. How we can do that in a practice skill or in a education skill is to encourage students to think about the goal of their learning. So if today we are learning about a concept in physics or a concept in mathematics or a concept in English, what is the goal of it? How will this imply or how will I approach? We also support students to self-assess the progress that they are making, which includes that they can make some questions, they can make an assignment, they can choose some strategies which helps them to control their learning as well. We adjust some efforts to promote metacognition to grade levels. So for very young children, for primary students, we might use very basic metacognition. We might just ask them the colors, the numbers, the concepts. Whereas for an adolescent, we might be asking metacognition of emotions, connections, feelings, and thinking. So depending on the grade system, the teachers can modulate it. But metacognition is one of the major things which we all can apply. So even when I am engaged in an OTT platform, I'm watching a video, or I'm scrolling Facebook, or I'm doing something on the online space, I can use metacognition by asking myself, what is it that I'm going to get from it? What is it that my goal is right now? And did I achieve that goal after, say, 20 minutes? Or have I distracted myself? That way, I'm always connected with my own metacognition. Very important is also managing work. Managing work in the context of both digital learning as well as using digital space. So managing workload is a form of a planning skill, a self-management. It can be managing the work, it can be time management, it can be a skill management also. It requires perseverance. It should also be distraction free. Now, objective workload means that how much time I am putting onto my instructions, my the number of the assessment events that I have in a given period of time that I need to do. Subjective workload means what is the impact of my objective overload on my emotions and attitude. So, for an educator dealing with a adolescent or a student in the digital space, can we help them to objectify this objective workload and the subjective workload? So there might be 10 assessments remaining, 10 assignments remaining, an exam coming up, and digitally they are occupied with it. So how they can manage the objective workload, also they can manage the subjective workload. What are my feelings with it? That way, even if they get distracted by digital space or digital media, they know that they have objectively divided the workload, also divided their emotions. They know what they feel about it. So the chances of getting distracted, chances of misusing the digital space and going beyond the purpose may be reduced. So we can help students to set small reachable goals. We can help them to check various tools. So they can use some checklists, they can make some diaries, some logs, so that they can keep a monitor on their digital work, digital practices, digital use, as well as the workload. One of the last components, but especially not the least, and also connected to what we were knowing about metacognition, is mindfulness. Now, mindfulness means maintaining a moment by moment awareness of our thoughts, emotions, bodily sensations, and surrounding environment. If we have openness, if we have curiosity, we will actually observe uh, what am I thinking, what am I feeling, what is happening in my body. So while I'm scrolling media, can I observe my fingers scrolling? Can I observe how close it is to my face, how close it is to my body, whether I'm sitting, whether I'm lying, or whether I've changed my position. So people who are self-focused or they are also non-judging towards their inner experiences, they are able to better regulate the self-mediated learning, self-mediated growth. In digital space, it is very important that as educator or as a person, we start and end the day or conclude the day with a spell of deep breathing. We can use some breathing exercises between activities. We can also integrate some short mindfulness break. It can be mindful eating, mindful walking on the grass, mindful drinking, mindful writing. We can incorporate stretching or basic yoga exercises. We can ask students to write down some daily gratitude journal, which means, or this we can also practice. This means that before I sleep every night or after I wake up every morning, I just tell myself that what am I thankful for. That way, the digital media, which is making an identity of me, which may not be mine, gratitude will bring me closer to practicing mindfulness of what is present today. So I may have 200 friends on my social media with whom I am feeling inferior or whose success, whose achievements make me feel that, okay, there is something that I lack, but mindfulness or gratitude, that brings me back that no, there is something that I have, which is my strength and is more a part of my identity. So we can share gratitude as a class assignment also. We can engage students in mindful drawing, coloring. We can use create materials, natural materials. We can assign projects to them, which is related to mindfulness themes. We can also use some calming decorations and quotes. So they can be quotes around, they can be calming decorations around. And ourselves as an educator or as a guardian, if we can practice mindfulness and demonstrate, that would be more helpful. So, as a teacher, as a guardian, some common things that we need to remember is that screen time is the total time spent per day. So, it is not just in one session, it is the total time. If any of the essential activity as sleep, hobby, meals is displaced, then that is called excessive screen time. So, we should be knowing what excessive screen time is and what are we calling as screen time. And we should avoid any kind of digital devices in children who are less than 2 years. Healthy media usage does not mean that we do not use media at all or we stop using screen. It only means that we promote learning, creativity, and social interactions or interrelationships with holistic well-being. For a child, an unhealthy media usage can affect their physical, psychological, social well-being, emotional well-being. If we can have some digital rules, digital hygiene, and we can nurture them as a person holistically, then we can ensure well-being. We also need to be sure that we might need to consult a mental health professional at the earliest if there are flags of media addiction in my own self or in somebody else. We all can become role model for healthy media usage for people around. So it starts from me as a person or me as a professional or me as a teacher, me as a guardian. So if I have my own rules, then that will help. How we can foster healthy communication, both for us and the students also. We follow the golden rule that we never treat others the way we don't want ourselves to be treated. So we never post hurtful comments. We disagree politely. And this is what we communicate and promote also. We do not post private information. We use the right language for communication. And we do not use all caps while typing. We respect the copyright law and do not download anything which is beyond permission. We think before we type, post, or share to check if it is true and legal. And before posting a picture, an adolescent can be encouraged to discuss it with a parent because once something is posted online, it cannot be deleted. We can promote people to not meet a digital friend in person alone, and ourselves also can be a role model for the same. We can make internet a safe space by reporting online misbehavior to the concerned authority. So, what happens if others repeatedly start posting hurtful or inappropriate messages or comments? It is better to take a break from the online world. We can block the sender. We do not respond to the hurtful messages. We save the message to enable reporting. If we know the person who is bullying, we try to talk to their family members or any people who is connected to them. We try contacting the digital platform provider to block the person and report the bullying. If bullying does not stop, we report it to the cyber police station. Uh, we can also report it at the website of the cybercrime. This is very important that we talk about boundaries breaks. We were also talking it about in the last session yesterday that we need to set some boundaries and breaks when it comes to digital well-being. We need to have scheduled breaks, regular breaks. It can be two in a day, at least one in a day, a time of maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. where as a person you tell yourself and you also demonstrate to others that this is the time that I'm not going to use any form of screen, any form of internet. Screen-free zones, for example, the entire family decides that while we have dinner today from 9 to 9:30, we are not going to use any screens. Or while we are traveling for a 5-hour journey, we are not going to use screen at all. Or if we are on the terrace and enjoying the weather, we are not going to use screen for say 30 minutes. Or pre-sleep bedtime, which is the most important when it comes to digital well-being. That 30 minutes before my sleep time, I'll switch off all my gadgets, all my screens, and not use screen time. We can encourage ourselves and others to have offline activities even when substitutes are available. For example, there are many games nowadays which are also available online, like Carom, Ludo. Rather than promoting that, okay, it is accessible, it is easier, we will still not use it. We will go for an offline activity in in-person setting. Being aware of fatigue and burnout can help us in managing the screen time. Your body is the first messenger which will tell you that there's something which is going wrong. There's something wrong with the body, it is tired, it is fatigued, the sleep is disturbed. That is your message to at least cut down the screen time or take a break for some time. And we can also set limits for notification. We can switch off certain notification or we can switch off the internet so that notifications are not very prominent or very regular. That also helps us in making a restriction. Seeking timely help means that even though we all might be trying our best, our mental health might be disturbed at times by screen or digital use. We should not hesitate to seek help from a mental health professional, which can be a counselor, a psychiatrist, a clinical psychologist, and talking to a professional can prove support and solution. It is not stigmatizing, it is just equivalent to seeking help for a physical health disorder or a physical health problem. So, while the digital age offers many opportunities, unprecedented opportunities, it is important that we recognize the impact that it is having on our well being. And we practice digital detox, we practice mindfulness, we find a balance between the online and offline activities so that we can remain connected, we can be in the digital space, but we can also be healthy. So remember that taking care of our mental well-being is as important as staying connected, and finding the healthy equilibrium is the only key. It is not this or that, it is both in a balanced way. I hope that this session would have provided you with some techniques of ensuring mental well-being in the digital space, both as an individual and as an educator.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much for all the points that you have discussed, and I'm sure this will help all our viewers because, like you said, that this is the digital era, and after some time, everyone needs a detox, mindfulness, and they need to stay away from the digital devices. So, with this, ma'am, we have a few questions to ask. May I? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
In one of the points, you mentioned that if someone has posted anything, any photograph or any video online, it will never be deleted. It will stay online. So let's say someone has deleted his or her social media profile or even the account, entire account. Even then, the photographs and videos, will that remain in space or some cloud, or will they be deleted along with the account?
Yes, ma'am. So it is said that there is a digital footprint that it leaves. So whatever we post online, whether it be a word or a picture or a video, it will leave a footprint. So even when I delete it from my side, it is there in the cloud and it can be misused if it's not encrypted or the data is there with somebody who can misuse it later. So in a way, whatever we post actually never gets deleted.
Okay. And everyone needs to understand this.
Yes,
So,
especially the youngsters.
right. So, ma'am, we have discussed digital wellness here and digital well-being we discussed here. And usually, so far, we used to discuss, at least from the corona times onwards, the mental well-being of the children, of the adolescents. This is what we are concerned about. So, are these two similar terms, or there's a difference between these two?
So, well-being is the umbrella term.
Okay.
Let's say that well-being includes many forms of well-being. now after the COVID pandemic, we are also talking about digital well-being. You are very right that it is more in the context of children and adolescents that we are talking it about. But lately, we are seeing that research shows that it is actually prominent in everyone. So when we talk about well-being, we are saying that you are healthy, you are socially healthy, you have interpersonal relationships, you are communicating well, you are working productively, and digital well-being is one now component of it, that you are using the digital world, but it is not taking over your well-being. It is not distracting you away from being the best of you. So in a way, they are connected to each other.
Okay. And ma'am, education is mostly technological based these days. We can see a lot of online classes being held. So, how can a teacher maintain the mental well being of the children while teaching in the class? And he or she gives a lot of stuff to watch online for the students. So, how is this balance going to be maintained?
Yes, I think this is very important because we cannot do away with digital form of learning now that it is here. It is accessible also and it has its own benefits. Um, as a teacher, as an educator, the pointers that we were talking about, if in a nutshell I have to give some pointers, the first thing is that when you start a digital form of class, it is better to have one-to-one interactions. So we can have names of everyone. We can ask them to uh, switch on their videos, post their queries, talk about their queries. You can also congratulate them or wish them for something that they're doing. You can ask them their reflections on the assignments. Um, Similarly, if it is possible that we can collaborate with some techniques of mindfulness and metacognition. So if I'm talking about an assignment in the class, and while I'm talking about it, if I can ask a child or an adolescent to also reflect on the metacognition, what he or she is thinking about it. Do they agree with it? Do they feel that this is logical? Even if it is a theory, even if it is something which is well versed and well written, uh, if we can go from a metacognition aspect, even in the digital world, we are actually promoting critical thinking. It is seen that digital form of thinking is actually reducing the critical thinking, which is also seen in the form of executive functioning, which is the front part of our brain, which is shrinking nowadays. Uh, in the researches, it is found that because we are using more of digital learning, we are actually not using critical thinking. So, as educators, if we can promote digital thinking along with mindfulness, we can have a breathing session, you can have some mindful writing session, mindful breathing sessions, mindful eating session within the session. If that can happen within the class, then it might lead to an educator providing a digital space which is also having a positive well-being aspect to it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for pinpointing each and every detail regarding this topic, that is ensuring mental well being in digital spaces. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for giving your time and discussing everything with all our viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you to all the viewers as well for being a part of this fifth day, the last day of our online training program titled Digital Wellness. So now let me show you that how you can register yourself. If you have already registered yourself, please go through this process with me once again. All you have to type is CIET on your browser, and this is the home page that you will see. You can see a lot of options in the menu bar, and here is the activities option. Please click on it. Once you do, the third last option is workshop/training. Please click on it, scroll it a little bit down, and you can see in the current activity, this online training's title has been mentioned, Online Training on Digital Wellness from 1st of July to 5th of July. This is clickable link, so please click on it. Once you do, another page will open. You can see this is entire information regarding this online training on digital wellness, and this is the entire schedule from day 1 to day 5. We discussed all these topics in detail with our experts. Here you can see that this particular week, 1st of July to 5th of July, we discussed this whole program, this whole training on digital wellness in English. But if you want to watch the same, then next week you can join from 8th of July to 12th of July. We will be discussing all the same topics, and the title again would be the same, Digital Wellness in Hindi. तो आप उसे देख सकते हैं। कोई भी सवाल हो आपके पास तो हम तक पहुंचा भी सकते हैं। If you scroll a little bit more down, you can read the objectives given, and here is the program schedule in detail. So all the titles are mentioned, all the experts' names have been mentioned, and the video which have been uploaded for day 1 till day 5 have also been uploaded. Once you click on it, you can see all the presentations, all the entire discussion. So here is the registration link. You can see this link. This is clickable. Once you click on it, and another form will open. Please fill the form, fill in your details, your correct details, and register yourself. Or you can simply scan this QR code and register yourself. If you have missed watching the earlier sessions, then here is the link of our YouTube channel, that is NCERT Official. You can click on it and watch all the sessions from day 1 till day 5. And here you can see the link has been uploaded. So take up this online course and participate in this post assessment and then get certified very easily. All you have to do is join this online course that is launched already on Diksha portal. Here is the link. Please click on it, and the course link will be opened, and the last date is 30th of March 2025. So you have a lot of time to go through this entire course, and you can take up this final assessment in this course, but you have only 3 attempts. So in those 3 attempts, you have to answer all the questions, and just go through all the 5 videos before answering the quiz questions. If you score 70% and above in the final assessment, you will be certified. Yes, you will be given a certificate, and you can access your certificate in your Diksha portal page itself. It will take somewhere around 15 to 20 days, so please have some patience and you will be getting your certificate. So please watch those videos once again if you have not seen, if you have missed watching those videos before taking the quiz. And let me tell you that here is our feedback forms link. Once you click on it, the form will be opened, and you can fill your feedback, your advice, suggestion, anything you have to say regarding our online training, or simply scan this QR code. Let me tell you that this is our email ID, training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. For any questions, for any queries regarding this program during this online video, or even after that, you can raise your questions with the help of this email ID. With this, I will just thank you once again for being with us today, and I really hope that you have registered yourself. All the very best for taking this quiz. I really hope that you all will score more than 70% and you will be certified too. With this, I'm wrapping up this particular training on digital wellness. We will meet you on Monday at 4 o'clock again in the Hindi version of this same training. For now, thank you so much, and the upcoming program that you're going to watch is Sayog, and the title of discussion is going to be Healthy Eating Habits. So stay here, don't go anywhere, and of course, keep asking your questions regarding these programs. Thank you. I'm Tanvi Khurana, and I'll take a leave of you. Have a great day ahead. Namaskar.